Bueno, aquí estamos esperando al amigo Ryan para hacer este vivo. Vamos a hablar de la película Frybarry. ¿Cómo va, Cami? ¿Todo bien? Acá, ¿qué tal, Angélica? ¿Cómo va todo? Acá estamos esperando a Ryan. Ahí está, entró Ryan. Hi, ¿cómo va? Hey, Axel, hi. Hey, ¿cómo va? Ahí está. Y ahí empezamos. Hi,
Hey man, how's it
Ryan.
going? Hey.
Welcome. Thank you for this chat. We are this opportunity of talking to the director of a very successful film here in Latin America and Argentina, Fried Barry. Congratulations! I have to say it's a masterpiece. I really loved it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
A lot of people ask this question about the film. Where did you find the actor, Gary Greene? He's really amazing. Where did you find him?
Yeah, I've known Gary now for probably about 11, 12 years. So over the years, uh, I've used Gary as Gary's background is he used to do extra work. So over the years, I put him in music videos as an extra and gave him featured parts, and his parts grew, over the years. So we actually met on set of this one movie, and yeah, we just started talking, got on. And the great thing about Gary is he's got this interesting face, and I love characters. So I was just like, oh, I love the way he looks. He's so just got a great presence.
Yeah, he has a very intense look. I mean, this with the big eyes. I mean, he's amazing. Um, and tell me, how did you start? Because you are not only a director, but a writer and an actor, and you have been in a lot of movies and series. Actually, you were in Bloodshot in the last Vin Diesel movie also. So, how would you define yourself? Director, writer, actor?
Well, the thing is, I started acting first, and then I went into directing. But I love both. I love both. The thing about acting is you can't control your career. You go to an audition, you either get it or you don't. But with directing, it's a hell of a lot better because you can control your career a bit more, and you can write the stuff that you want to make and write the stuff that you want to see. So yeah, so I love doing both, but with directing, I've got more control over.
Well, you can act in your own movies. See, I saw you did a little cameo in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, it was a small cameo. It was funny because I wasn't gonna do it, and then while we were making the film, I put a lot of my friends into the movie, and my producer James C. Williamson, the one actor didn't turn up, and I was like, let's do that character that we always do, and I said to him, you must be in it, and he was like, cool, cool. So he did it, and he did a great job. And then my DOP, Gareth Place, said to him, oh, you must do this one character, and then he ended up doing that. And then everybody was like, oh, Ryan, you got to be in your own movie. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And then ended up the one character I would have played. It was, I had too much. I was too busy thinking of all the other scenes, so I didn't want to give myself something big because I wanted to concentrate. So I just did that little small role at the bar there, and that was fine. That was cool. It was fun.
And tell me about your influence in the beginning when you were little. I'm talking about not the movies, but also maybe literature in horror and sci-fi. Which were your influences?
I love, I love 80s movies. So as a kid growing up, in the 80s, it was, it's one of those things where even now, for me, like 80s films are like the best. Like you can't get better than the 80s films. That the way it looks and the feel and everything, and it's always been growing up watching like horrors or sci-fis or well, any 80s cinema. But growing up watching like E.T. or like Christine and, you know, The Thing, or, you know, all these, you know, great 80s movies that are still amazing today, and still people can't make it better than that, you know. So for me, it's a lot of influences that went into Frybarry and the work that I do. It's definitely 80s orientated for like 80s American cinema.
Mm. Actually, I remember a scene in Frybarry where, well, you know, Barry is like alien Barry is tripping, and there are two, I mean, persons sitting, and they start shaking their heads. I remember that effect from Jacob's Ladder. I don't know if you watched that film. They used
A
that
long
same
time
effect.
ago.
Yeah. Did you get the idea from there?
No, I actually, which scene are you talking about again?
There are two guys in a like in a hole in a, you know, in he's like tripping, you know, and suddenly there are two guys, you cannot see their faces, and the head starts shaking, and I remember this kind of you know, effect from that movie.
Okay. To be honest, I haven't watched it in a long time. I've still got it on VHS, but it's been a long time since I actually watched it. But I think somebody did mention that before to me.
Yeah, yeah, because they use that. And tell me, how did you come up with the idea of Frybarry? Because of course it's a horror sci-fi film, but when I watch it, I felt like, again, as I told you before, I was watching another kind of movie. I mean, you were saying a lot. I mean, because it's it's a voyage of this character through the, you know, the worst part of, I know, of society. I mean, drug addiction, you know, like this prostitution. I mean, that was the idea.
Yeah. Well, when I came up with the idea, or should I say before I came up with the idea, where I was in my life, with my personal life and work, for the longest time now, you know, I've wanted to make a feature film. And, you know, it's not easy, you know, it's not easy to do that. And over the, about 4 years ago, I had something wrong with my kidney. And I went into hospital. I had the operation, and then I got sepsis and nearly died. And then from there, I went through a breakup, and then my cat got cancer, and it was just so many things all at once. And then I went into like deep depression, and it was hard. It was really hard, and I hit like rock bottom, and I was done. And I was just like, what is the number one thing that I've always wanted to do? And it was to make a film. And I have all these different scripts I could have made. And when I got the idea for Frybarry, it just came to me, and I was just like, shit, this is the idea. And I knew as soon as I got the idea, I knew this was the idea, the right film to make. And like I said, the other scripts probably would have been way easier to make. So when I got the idea, I spent 3 days writing a 50% scene brief breakdown, like Barry does this, Barry does that. Wasn't a script. And then I rang my producer, James C. Williamson, and I only knew him for about a month and a half. And I rang him and I said, I want to make a movie, and I want to make it next month. And he was like, well, why do you want to shoot it next month? And I was like, because if we don't shoot it next month, it's never going to happen. And he goes, have you got a script? And I was like, no. And he goes, why haven't you got a script? And I said, well, the lead guy in the movie, Gary Greene, he's not an actor. So I have to build the movie around him to make it work. Otherwise, you know, the film's not going to work. And on top of that, I wanted a lot of freedom and creativity to do exactly what I wanted to do, and to live in the moment and be organic. So like 90% of the movie was improv with a lot of the other actors in the movie. You know, I wrote all the main dialogue scenes I wrote, but the rest of the movie, all the little bits, a lot was like improv, still workshopped and planned on set and directed. But, you know, it was nice to live in the moment and be organic and be like, cool, we've got an idea. So normally with another film, it's all set in stone. So you can't do any changes, and you can't do this and you can't do that. It's like whatever is in the script. So to have a brief scene, for example, the supermarket. So we have the guy selling the cheese, the giveaway, the cheese, we got the checkout girl, and then he gets lost. And that was the brief. So then you come up with ideas. And as an actor as well, I love improv. So it's coming up with these ideas and then going, oh, this will be really cool. And you can't do that in normal films. It's normally set in stone. And then working with Gary was great. I've known Gary for years, but now with Gary, because he's not a trained actor, he was the only one that didn't improv in the movie. So I had to be like, okay, only do exactly what I say. Don't do anything else. And so I had to work super close so I know I hit those marks with him. Otherwise, you know, the film would fail miserably. And the movie is Frybarry. I mean, without Gary, the movie is nothing. And, you know, and that's the thing about the story of Frybarry, that the story is really easy. It's about an alien. It's about a heroin addict that gets abducted by aliens and takes his body on a joyride through Cape Town. That's it. That's the story. And it's not really about the story. It's more about going on the trip with Frybarry. Go along as if you're taking the trip, you know, and it's designed to make you feel uncomfortable. It's designed for you to go on the trip. It's designed to be unpredictable, and by the end of it, you're like, oh, I just want to take a shower. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel dirty after the movie. And that's the thing. But originally, what I wanted with this idea when I got it, I wanted to make a cult-style movie. And I wanted to have that iconic cult character. So to get that, you know, I looked at all my favorite 80s movies and stuff like that. And I was like, there's that fine line, you know, to work on and stay on that path. I mean, because, you know, most of the time you make a film and then it becomes like a cult film later, you know, so I wanted to mimic that and try get that, stay on that line. So, and that was with the way it looks, the colors that we used, the tone of the film, the music, the character. And I think, you know, over the years, you know, people try and create those new horror characters, you know, whether it's, you know, like a Freddy or a Jason, and they're trying to reinvent these like new characters with new masks and this and this. And what I wanted with Frybarry was, it's like the denim jacket and the jeans. That's his Superman uniform, you know what I mean? And it's his face and his character. That's the iconic, you know, cult style character. And even when it came to editing, there was bits that we edited, and it was really funny. And I looked at it and I was like, it's the wrong turn. We're going to have to re-edit. Even though it was really funny, I was like, it has to stay on this right path to be that style of the movie. And that's the thing. And like you said, you know, there's lots of those, you know, society with drugs in the movie, and what drugs does to you and fucks up your life and and all that. But, you know, there's also a lot of love in the movie, you know, with the wife, and she's the heart, you know, she's the heart of the movie. And yeah, I think it's just interesting how everything came together with the improv and being free and living in those moments, and you know, working with Gary closely. And it was funny because his character mimics people, you know, when he's an alien, and the alien becomes more human as time goes on. But the interesting thing is his character mimics people, but at the same time, when I'm directing Gary, I'm also like, the camera's here and Gary's there, and I'm on the side of the camera going, okay, Gary, do this face. Okay, now copy me and do this face. Now do this face. Okay, now do this face. And then with that, I'm choosing different moments with Gary's face. So I've got more, because I shoot for the edit, so I know what I need. So I'm shooting all those different reactions for, you know, for the scene. So it looks like he's hitting all the beats. He looks like he's hitting all those comedy moments and stuff like that. And that's a part of, you know, that's the part of the character that I created to be this, you know, offbeat character. And Gary was amazing. He did such an amazing job. He was always willing to do another take and another take. And yeah, he was just, he was really enjoying it, and such a pleasure, you know, to work with him and to you know, go on that journey with him, you know.
He would have to consider a career as an actor now, because he will become famous after this.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing. I think, you know, when people see him and more people get to see this movie, I think, you know, he'll always be known as Frybarry. So, you know, people will be like, Frybarry, you know. So I think I think that's the the cool thing. But yeah, I mean the whole movie, the cast and the crew and everybody that we worked with was we had such an amazing crew. And it's important, as an actor you go on these other big movie sets and stuff like that, and everybody's like stepping on eggshells, everybody's worried in case somebody's going to shout at somebody. And I think that, somewhere along the line, and people have lost a lot of that joy to do. Like, we do this because we love it. So on my sets, I always make sure that we have fun. We're meant to be having fun. Yes, it's hard work, and yes, it's long hours, but we do it because we love it, and we're meant to have fun. So I've always got time to do like a joke take or whatever, and that's the nice thing to, it make the crew and the cast feel comfortable and have fun. And it's, I think that's how it's meant to be. And you get better results. You get better results doing that and working with, make sure the cast and crew know that you give a shit and you care, and you want to relate to them and have fun. And I think it's a very important part of directing and filmmaking in itself.
Mm. I noticed, I have been watching some of your short films. I've noticed you like the experimental, filmmaking, and I noticed the use of a lot of, experimental effects in order to, create this, trip sensation, right? And what about that? How did you decide which resource to use in order to create the trip Gary is into?
Yeah, well, there was a lot of things with, especially with music and sound design, and even working with Gareth Place, the DP, and, getting the right lensing for the right feeling, whether the camera's stuck on him or we're sitting with him or are we watching him. And it's really, it's really those things that put you in Gary's seat. And that's why I said before, the movie, is designed for you to go on that trip with Gary or as Gary, as Frybarry, and to sit there and go along this ride. And Frybarry is one of those films. I've made it for a certain audience, and it's one of those films where you either love it or you hate it. You either like it or you don't get it. You don't understand it. And that's all right. And that's fine that if you don't get it. We've had a lot of people that's not our target market that absolutely love the film because it's not 100% horror. It's not 100% sci-fi. We have elements of horror. We have elements of sci-fi. There's comedy. There's a lot of dark, twisted humor. So, there's a lot there for people that, may not think they like it, or they like it, or it's too much for them and they can't handle it. But the lovers will love it and talk about it, and the haters will also hate it and talk about it, which is great. Because I always say in interviews, there's a lot of films weekly or every day that we watch 10, 20 minutes to half an hour, and we watch it, or we finish the movie and we go, oh shit, I'm never going to watch that again. And you don't even tell anybody about it because it's not worth the conversation. So for somebody not to like it and still talk about it is great. It's a good thing. And I think when you're trying to do something different and not go for the usual structure in a movie, and to and do something different that we haven't seen before, people will talk. And that's why when I originally got the idea for Frybarry, I just knew straight away it felt right, and this is the one that I'm going to do. And I never would have ever expected my first film to be Frybarry, and I'm so happy that it was. And it was just a great journey,
How the producers react when you use as the main character, someone who is not an actor? They were afraid, or they just trust in your instinct?
Well, this is the thing. So put it this way. In South Africa, we don't make movies like this at all. We don't make any type of movies like this at all. South Africa is pretty conservative. So we make comedies, we make historical movies, we make some thrillers, and that's about it. And now it's starting to change where there is some horror films and stuff like that, but they're still tame in a sense of like that commercial horror. And obviously with a movie like Frybarry, it's definitely the first of its kind to come out of South Africa because it's so different, and it's not just horror. It's not just sci-fi, and it has all those hectic moments where you're like, I feel comfortable if I'm watching it with my mom and dad or whatever. So it's interesting how how it's been received. And sorry, I can't even remember the question you asked me now. What was the question?
No, if the producers maybe they were
Oh,
like afraid that you weren't using an actor.
Yeah. So this is the thing. So with this type of film, so I mean, over the years, I've met many producers that have approached me to make a film, and I get excited, and then it fades away. And then the next producer comes along, and he's like, "Hey, Ryan, I want to work with you. I love your work," and then it fades away again. And so when I got this idea for this film, and we shot it from conversation with my producer, it was a month later and we started filming. So me and my producer, we produced the movie together, so we didn't have to answer to anybody. And I mean, who the fuck would produce a movie, a studio where there's no script, they'll be like, no way, we're not going to fucking do this. Like, you haven't got a script. Your lead guy's not an actor. There's no fucking way I'm going to give you money to do this. So, and that was the thing. And that's what made Frybarry better, because me and my producer, we only had each other to make the go-aheads. So nobody could tell us what not to do. So if I had an idea, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Cool, let's do it. So we didn't have to answer to anybody. I knew what I wanted to do from the start, and I knew what I wanted to create. So it's cool to have that 100% total freedom to do what you want, instead of a studio or another producer going, take that out, you're going to have to cut that, it's too bad, it's too hectic, you're going to have to lose it. And so to have the freedom of completely doing what you want to do and make something different, it's the only way we could have made Frybarry. There's no way a studio would have gave me the go ahead, and so soon as well either. So I'm happy that I took I just took the opportunity and did it,
Yeah, it's funny you say that you love the 80s movies, because the 80s movies were exactly that, cheap movies made with the heart, with love. I mean, from independent artists who say, okay, let's do whatever we want, these cheap movies, and we can do whatever we want without studio interference. And in a way, that's why we love 80s movies, because they are a source of creativity. I mean, so in this way, it's an homage and a way to all the 80s movies, but it's your own. Also, it's it's your own movie. It's actually a movie from this new era.
Yeah, and there's so many. I wanted that 80s look. I wanted that 80s cult style feel, and I think we achieved that, especially with the music and everything, to be, like I said, to stay on that line. So yeah, I mean, so far we played all around the world, and we've had fan art from all around the world. We've had people get tattoos of Frybarry, and you know what I mean? It's been nuts. I've had so many messages from all over the world. People go, oh, I love it, it's my favorite film, and it's fucking crazy. And for me and my team, it's brilliant, and it's been such a great experience, and also crazy, when somebody gets a tattoo. Like, fan art is amazing, but for somebody getting a tattoo, I'm like, dude, the movie's not even out yet. It's doing the festival run, and I'm just like, that's absolutely amazing. And yeah, so it's already got that like cult following and that cult status already. So it can only get better when it gets released. So.
Yeah, actually, I told a lot of people from Argentina and Latin America to start the fan art, because a lot of people wanted to draw and do paint of Gary's character. And you will see it's amazing what they are doing. What about Gary? Because how he's reacting to all this success? Because for him it must be incredible.
Yeah, he's loving it. He's already got, like, I think it was like 3 nominations and 2 awards for Best Actor. I mean, he's loving it. I mean, I think you know, deep down he knew that this was his shot. From being an extra in the background and having a few featured parts and stuff like that. I think this was his shot, and I think he knew it. And I remember, like, on day one, you know, I pulled Gary to one side and I said, because he's going to be acting against a lot of people with a lot of experience and famous South African actors and stuff like that. So, you know, I said to Gary, you know, you're going to do brilliant. You're not here by mistake. You're meant to be here, and don't feel intimidated by all these people. You know, I'm making this movie for you. I'm making this movie around you to make it work. And all you need to do is just listen to me very carefully, and we'll do it. And I just said, you're going to do brilliantly, and he did. He gave, as I said, he gave 120%, and yeah, I'm pretty sure on set he loved being, you know, the center of attention the whole time and being in every single scene. And so yeah, he must be you know, he's loving it. I'm pretty sure. You know, even in Cape Town, like we'll go out, and already, you know, there's people coming up to me and Gary going, "Oh, Ryan Kruger, Frybarry, and then you know, like, "Oh, I can't wait to see the movie," or they've seen it, or they've seen the marketing stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And you know, I went to Spain like a month ago. Even the crowd there just went crazy for the movie, and you know, I must have signed like over 100 autographs and pictures and everything just for these people that just adore the movie. I had like 2 couples come like from 2 hours away just to get a signed poster by me, and another people came from like 4 hours away, and I'm just like, you're fucking nuts, you're crazy, but amazing. I love it. I love it that you love this movie. So yeah, it's great, and I think Gary's gonna, you know, move on to other movies and stuff like that, and I believe he's gonna do well, and I'll always work with Gary, and you know, we have a few other projects lined up and stuff that we want to do. So yeah, we'll always you know, we've always worked together for many years already. It's just great that we did something on a bigger scale. And originally in 2017, we shot the 3-minute experimental, also called Frybarry. It had nothing to do with sci-fi or aliens. It was just a heroin addict in a building off his head on a new drug, and that was it. And that was purely a short experimental film. I never wanted to make it into a feature. Never wanted to do more with it. I just looked at it as a successful short film that did well, and that was it. But as I said, when I came up with the idea, you know, with a lot of these 80s references and stuff like that, and you know, my 2 main references for Frybarry was that early 90s film, Bad Boy Bubby. So there's a little bit of Bad Boy Bubby and John Carpenter's Starman. So it was a mixture of those two squashed together and then blended together with the stuff that I wanted to do and change it up and make it completely different. And yeah, I think it was just those mixed in and created something, you know, more fresh, different, and just something that we haven't seen before. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like John Carpenter, and you know, as I said, all these other movies. And even in Frybarry, there's so many references, whether it's E.T. or Starman or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Aliens, Predator. Yeah, there's loads. There's a hell of a lot of 80s references in there. So yeah, it's you gotta love the 80s, you know.
And then tell me about your next projects, because and also I wanted to ask you about you know, filmmakers in South Africa that works with sci-fi and horror, because we want to do this exchange. You mentioned Christopher Dos Santos. I'm sure we can interview him if he's available to interviews and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure. So Christopher Santos, he made a movie a few years ago Last Broken Darkness. And as I said, you know, we don't really make these sort of films here in South Africa. And Chris made that film, you know, for an American audience. So, you know, we shot it here and everybody had American accents and stuff. And it's probably, yeah, it has to be probably my favorite South African film that I've seen, because it's just so different to what normally gets made here. And, you know, the characters are great. And also, and this is not why because I'm saying it, but I also had a small role in the movie. So I was acting in that movie as well. But it's not because of that. It's not because it's my favorite South African movie. It's just that it's so different. And Chris is he's a great director, great visual director. And yeah, I mean, it's awesome working with him. And as I said, it's just different to what normally gets made here. And it's one of those things where films like Frybarry and Chris's film, it's, you know, more people need to see these movies so people know that we can do this stuff here in South Africa. Because the sad thing is about South Africa, and the films are getting better, without a question, films are getting better in South Africa, but I think there's a lot of film goers and filmmakers that have a bad taste in their mouth for South African content, and they think, oh, it's going to be shit, so I'm not going to watch it. And people have told me that, and I've always been interested to ask people, you know, those questions. So I've been asking those questions to people for the past 12 years, and they all kind of say the same, oh, it's just the same shit. It's just a different, you know, different actors in, but it's always the same. And films are getting better here and different, but again, we still need to branch out and make, you know, genre movies and different movies, and to change that mindset of people in South Africa to show them that we can make these films and they're also bankable, you know. And you know, you can't just look at your audience in one country. It's fucking stupid. Like, you really got to open the horizon and make it for, you know, for, like with Frybarry, it's, you know, we've traveled, you know, the world with Frybarry already, and people are loving it, and it's great. And that just shows you it's bankable, and it shows you that people want that sort of thing. And I think as a producer and stuff, you got to know your market. You got to know who you're making it for. And you know, I could have made one of the other scripts that I had, but I also look at the other scripts that I had, and I say to myself, is it original? Will it be good? And one, it's not original. And two, yes, I could make a really good film, but it could also just disappear into the B-movie market and never be seen, or the odd person will see it. And that's why I didn't pick those films. And that's why with Frybarry, it is a film that if you watch it, there's no way you can fucking forget it. Like, there's no way. So and it will create people to talk, and people will remember that movie, and that's what it's about. And you know, if I asked you right now your favorite movies or favorite scenes in movies, you know, you pick these scenes. So you know, when I'm making a movie, I'm also thinking about scenes that you will always remember, scenes that you go, oh, you know, there was this scene or that scene. And it's important because that's what makes, you know, movie making interesting. That's what brings these films to life, that people go, I love that scene, I remember that scene. And it's important to have those moments and to make something rememberable, because now more than ever, there's so many bad films these days compared to what it was. And that's because it's way easier to make films than it was 10, 15 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's easier to make films, and the studios, they're just pushing out films all the time. And it's like America's like completely running out of ideas, and they're just, you know what I mean? They're just making another Avenger movie, throwing money at visual effects, and it's not about the story. It's not about the characters anymore. And, you know, it's very rare, you know, that I watch something and go, that was a great movie. I enjoyed that movie. I'm definitely going to buy that movie when it comes out. And that doesn't happen that often anymore, which is sad. And that's why I always find myself going back to, you know, older films. You know, if I go, oh, I'm going to watch Christine, and I watched it again the other day. I've seen it like a million times, but you know it's good, and you know you can always watch it. Or you're going to watch like The Thing or Goonies or Stand By Me or Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you'll just watch it over and again because you know it's good and you know you're going to be satisfied watching it. So I don't know, but that's me. That's me. I don't know.
No, it's actually there are two things. What happened in South Africa also happened in Argentina. In Argentina, the film industry is kind of conservative. They are always doing these traditional films about, you know, society, you know, everyday situations, and horror filmmakers are like, you know, put aside. So there are a lot of talent people in the horror sci-fi here in Argentina, Latin America, but they have been doing independent films during the last 20 years, and there's so much talent. And now they are having this opportunity. Well, that's why we create this network in order, you know, to help them to be known in the world, and not only Argentina, but you know, this exchange we are doing. So, and this happened, and again, I also find this problem of that you know, in the United States they are always repeating these formulas and they are running out of ideas. But I started, you know, looking in the independent film industry, like everywhere, not only Argentina, South Africa, Russia, and I found amazing things. So that's the whole idea. Oh, by the way, you have a lot of short films. Can we put it in our Instagram so people can watch them?
Yeah, I don't know which ones, but see, at the moment now, I've been, for the past 4 years, I've been working on 8 experimental films, and hopefully that's going to come out next year. So yeah, there's going to be eight experimental films, which is, if you like Frybarry, you will like these experimental films. It's very out there and crazy, and yeah, so hopefully by May next year, all 8 of them should be out. Apart from that, I'm working on editing a documentary about a true cult that happened in the late 80s, early 90s in South Africa. So we're just busy editing that at the moment. And hopefully sometime next year I start on my next feature film, which I can't say too much about, but it's about time travel. And it's just a very twisted, crazy sort of film. Like Frybarry, but different.
Oh,
like Frybarry, but different.
Oh, great, great. We will love to see that. Actually, another thing I really love about the movie, it's there's no the problem with American films, and I talk this with a lot of producers, is that they force director and writers to put exposition now because they say, oh, people won't understand. And I love the films where you have all these scenes, all the situation, and there's no expositions. You have to interpret this, and I really love that about Frybarry, because you are thinking, okay, I have to figure out what is the logic of this alien, right? And all this interpretation is so fascinating. I'm sure a lot of people will do, YouTube videos like, okay, the explanation of Frybarry, and that's so great about this kind of film.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's the thing about cinema. When you do something different and you don't go for the normal structure of stuff, then people have a problem with it, or people, like you said, would like to analyze it and really get in there and figure it out. And it's like you said, like years ago, people would spoon feed the audience, and they still do it now. But the audience is not as stupid as everybody thinks, and that's the thing. We like to figure things out and watch and have our own interpretations. It doesn't have to be so on the nose, It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to fucking explain everything. Like, people aren't stupid and they'll get onto it. And that's what I said with Frybarry. There is a lot of hidden little things in there, but at the same time, it's not about the story. The story's simple. It's not about the story. It's a road trip movie without a car, but Barry's the car, and that's the film. And it's that journey that you go on, and it's up to you if you want to go on it or not. And if you're going to go along for the ride and just sit back and just enjoy it. And it's also one of those films where, it's good to watch it with a crowd of people. It's a different experience. You know, when you're with a bunch of people, it's a different experience instead of, you know, just watching it by yourself. I think it's one of those films where it's great to see it on the big screen, and to be in company with everybody else. We played it in Johannesburg, and my cousin, she's 18 years old, and her, my auntie and my uncle sat beside her. And obviously she felt really uncomfortable sitting there with her mum and dad on either side. She was like, with the sex scenes and stuff like that. But yeah, and you know, it's with Frybarry, it's also it's not about shocking people. You know, there's those scenes that are a little bit shocking or this and that, but it's taking people off guard and not expecting what they're going to see, or see more than they expected. And it's like with the alien abduction, you know, it's just like we've seen alien abductions many times before in films, and they hint on certain things. I'm like, let's show it. Let's show them do the anal probing or that. Let's show it. They will never expect it. And everybody's sitting there going, you know, so it's cool to keep it off guard and keep it upbeat and fresh and weird, and you know, and it's at the end of the day, it's entertainment. Don't look too far into it. It's entertainment. Just enjoy it. You know, some people can pick things, certain maybe negative things out of it, and they're like, it's just a character. It's just a movie. Just enjoy it. You know.
Actually, there's a movie with Christopher Walken called Communion. I thought about that movie when I saw it. Was that the influence?
I don't think so. No. My actual one of my references was actually, I love Communion. I really love that film. It was Fire in the Sky. So I looked at some clips from Fire in the Sky, and I think that's early 90s movie. But yeah, and it's also just doing something different and something visual, and that you didn't expect to see. But I mean, one of my favorite scenes is the abduction scene. Just for the actual visuals. And stuff. So I mean, it's quite striking, and the lights, and it's very like 80s and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed making that scene.
No, yeah. Also, the scene inside the starship, it's so bizarre and so great. And then, well, the scene, I'm not going to spoil anything, but with the woman, the pregnant woman. Wow, that was a very traumatic scene. It was incredible.
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So there's scenes like that people watch and they'll never forget it. Or like when I've sat in the audience watching Frybarry, I'm not even watching the movie. I'm watching everybody's reactions go, and watch it. And because, people didn't expect, to see that. But it's also, it's quite hectic, but at the same time, it's funny. She's there with a baby and she's just like, it's not what you would have expected. So there's a lot of comedy. There's a lot of comedy.
Yeah, yes, the idea of the baby was so great, and something that we always ask, because the idea is to start this cultural exchange between people who love horror and sci-fi. Would you come to Argentina or any country in Latin America to do a film?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you could ask anybody that, and they'll probably say fucking yes to you anyway. But it's one of those things where, if the opportunity came about, then it'd be brilliant to shoot something in a different country, whether it's for the culture or the architect, somewhere else. It would be, and for different types of people and characters, and what your streets are like compared to other streets and everywhere else. I mean, people have looked at Frybarry and said, I'm not going to fucking Cape Town, South Africa. It looks fucking horrible. I'll probably ruined the whole tourism for people coming to South Africa. But I'm like, no. It's like really nice. I've lived here for like 12 years. Cape Town is a very beautiful place. But I believe every city in the world has their good areas and bad areas, and dodgy bars and characters, and it's like that anywhere, you know, in the world. It just happens to be that Frybarry, when he gets abducted and he starts going to all these places, it just happens to be that he comes across all the most craziest you know, people you know, as the movie goes on, and I think it's funny that, you know, these aliens that decided to abduct this guy, it's just ironic and funny because they just picked the wrong guy. It could have been just a normal guy, but they picked this heroin addict that just, you know, it's basically, that's why I always say it's basically like an alien tourist on holiday, just taking a shitload of drugs, having sex, and just having a good time. So I could only imagine, you know, Frybarry going back to the aliens in the mothership and going, so what was it like? And they were like, well, I just fucking took a shitload of drugs, had sex with loads of people, and yeah, we definitely should go there again, you know. So that's basically it, you know.
I will send you some films of Latin America, and also if you want, I can introduce you to some of the directors here. I'm sure you will get along because they are really cool people, and again, they are starting to do amazing things. I mean, and that's the idea. When people meet, this kind of movies happen. I think that's the whole idea.
Yeah, definitely, but that's how it works in the, you know, in the film world. It's great to meet different people, you know, over the world, whether, you know, somebody's acting or directing. And as an actor myself, you know, I've met, you know, people from different places, and then, you know, I could, you know, it's everybody coming together as a community, and, you know, and making stuff, and it's great that I do acting as well, because, you know, I watch other people's work and go, as an actor, I would love, you know, to act in, you know, in the movie or whatever, and collaborate in some sort of way, you know.
There's always a question I ask to everyone we talk to. It's how would you like to be remembered?
I think easy answer, just to be remembered. That's it. Just to be remembered as a filmmaker, obviously, but just be remembered for what you do, and just to leave that legacy behind of the films that you want to make, and not what anybody else wants to make. I think it's important to make exactly what you want to make, and do exactly the movies that you want to see or that you haven't seen before. And I think that's the most important thing, and to stay true in what you do. And it's the most passionate people and successful people, they love what they do. It's not about the money. Yes, we get paid good money to do what we do here and there, but at the same time, we love what we do, and that's the most important thing, and that's what we thrive off, way more than money. We just love being on set, and we love working with people, and I think that's the true and important thing about the craft.
Tell Gary that he has already a lot of fans here. So if you want to do a live, I mean, we will be very, very glad to talk to him.
Yeah, well, Gary's a very interesting character. So he doesn't do any interviews. He doesn't do any interviews, and I think it's kind of cool because it leaves that mystery of Gary. You know, everybody go, well, we want to know about him. We want to know more about him. So I think it just makes Gary more interesting, and more people just want to know more about him. But Gary's a super nice guy, heart's in the right place, and yeah, he's an awesome guy, very, very nice guy, very humble.
Well, Ryan, thank you very much for this opportunity, and well, we keep in touch. I will try to connect you with some people here, and we hope when the quarantine is over, I don't know, we can do something, some project. We are organizing projects between different countries, so that's the idea.
Yeah, no, it would be great to have that physical screening with Frybarry, and I don't know, maybe me and Gary will come to Argentina and hopefully, you know, rescreen Frybarry. If you guys can organize it, we'll do it.
You have a place to stay. When you come, please come, and we will give you the whole tour. I mean, there's a lot of people that really would like to meet you, and also Gary. So and we
Amazing.
have
That'd be great.
a delicious food here. I don't know if you try the meat and everything.
Cool. Sounds good. I'll be there.
Well, see you and thank you very much again. Bye bye.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having me. Cheers, dude.
Bye bye.
Cheers, man.